I'm Sister Mary Alice Murphy, and right now I'm mostly retired. However, I'm still involved in working with those who are homeless and also people who are trying to get affordable housing and working with care housing. Well, that was really the work of Gordon Thibodeau, the head of United Way at the time. He decided that it would recognize the work that I've done in the community. Really, the Murphy Center itself was a concept that I helped to create, but I actually didn't do much of the work to actually get the center built and the way it's thriving today. So I really can't take credit for that. It's just that it was deemed it was good to recognize the work that I had done with the homeless and for low-income people in this community. Well, I think that the biggest ability that I've had has been to help Fort Collins, first of all, recognize that there are homeless people and poor people in town. I found it to be a very caring city if you can present that there's a problem. When I first came to town, the chief of police at that time said there was no poor people here, which was the biggest problem at first, was to help people recognize that there's a soft underbelly in this community, that you can drive through it and you may not come across any decrepit neighborhoods, but that there are poor people in this town struggling to make it. And in the effort, first of all, it was to build the mission. And it took a lot of people to help with that. I just hope that because I'm recognized, people don't concentrate on me, but all the many, many, many people who helped me to get the things done that we've done together. Well, I have to say my greatest inspiration is the person that I've given my life to, and his mandate to help those who were poor and needed help, and that's been my chief motivation. I also feel like my father was very instrumental in helping me have a heart for the poor. Although he himself was a successful businessman, he never had the attitude that some successful people have, which is, I've made it, therefore you can make it. He always recognized that while he thanked God he made it, he did not expect everybody else to be as successful as he was. So he taught me some of my beginning lessons. And I think that certainly motivated me. And it's the people themselves, the low-income people who struggle so hard. Getting to know some of the people who are actually homeless, to realize that so many people figure that if they can get to the diamond and they can swing a bat, they can make a home run. And oftentimes they can't. They're lucky to get to first base or second base. Some of them make the home run, but not everybody. And oftentimes they need encouragement all along the way. So they have been my teacher. And that's what's made it different for me. Well, first of all, I started working at the mission. That was my first job when I came to town. The mission wasn't built, but Catholic Charities was the nonprofit that I worked for. And I could see that people had not enough to eat, and a lot of people didn't have enough clothes to wear, and they didn't have a job. And so at that time, we began to work with the homeless population. And then I saw that it wasn't enough just to feed. You needed to shelter. People had to have a place to go, especially when you had the kind of weather that we had last night. They don't have a place that's safe and warm, and so they needed a shelter. So we started working with the shelter. And then when I saw that, yes, it was great if they had a shelter, but that was temporary. So then I had to start working on affordable housing, because at the time we started care housing, the vacancy rate was 2%. And I think today it's even worse for low-income people. So one need leads to the next, to another, and that's where the idea came when a priest said to me one time, "Why do we send the poorest people in town, all over town, to get the services they need?" And that's when I came up with the idea of a one-stop facility where instead of sending poor people all over town to get the services they need, representatives from those nonprofits would be in one facility, and that person would be able to get the services they need at one location. So need has been what's presented the problems and also then the solution. But unless you've got other people working with you, you can't do anything. So there's been so many people in this community that have helped to do the work that I'm just kind of the Pied Piper. I present the need, I tell people what needs to be done, I ask them what needs to be done, and then we work together. I'm a Catholic sister. I was raised by Catholic parents that were people who really, God was part of their everyday life. I've been a sister next year for 70 years, which means I entered rather young. And I worked in several states before I came here. I'm a Canadian by birth. I was raised in Canada, and I came to the United States to receive training as a sister. And I belong to a community called Our Lady of Victory Missionary Sisters, dedicated to the poor and to those who lack instruction in their faith. I came to Fort Collins in 1983, so I've been here over 30 years. And I think now that I'm retired, I find that the things that I can do, there's a lot of things I used to do I can't do now, but I can still help other people, mentor, act as a consultant, and I don't have to work as hard, for which I'm grateful, but I find that I still can be valuable to the community. Well, yes, and people are good. I am limited by sight, so they're very good at picking me up and taking me to things that either I've started or efforts that perhaps still need a boost. I'm able to do short-term type things. I'm not able anymore to be on boards and committees, which I've spent a lot of time doing. And I still maintain some contact with some of the homeless people that I've worked with. Yes, but even today, it's such a hard road. And I've had one homeless man tell me, it's so easy to become homeless and so hard to get out of it. Yes, my family is mostly in Canada. I have a sister in San Antonio, Texas, and I just was home this past year to visit my brother and his family, which is quite extensive. I'm still very much a Canadian. I'm proud of that country. I don't talk about it very much with my family. If they know anything, it's because of other people saying something. And I just had my niece and my sister's daughter-in-law visit me this past fall in September, and they wanted to see the center, and I took them over. And unfortunately it was a Saturday, but the group was helping with the garden that day, and fortunately somebody was there, and so they opened the door and I showed them around and explained what was done, and one of them said, it gives me goosebumps. With them, I'm the aunt, the brother, the sister. I'm not the brother, but I have a brother. Well, the biggest obstacle is indifference, and that takes education. So I saw that one of the big things that I needed to do was to be a bridge, so that people who had money and had a good heart and wanted to do something got to know about the people who were in need. And the people who were in need needed to realize that there were people who did care. And so that being a bridge over which people could walk was important for the understanding, so it didn't become a paternalistic type benevolence, but some type of mutuality. And that takes time. And sometimes things that are in laws in a city can make it difficult to do the work that needs to be done. And so you have to work with legislators. You can't have just the vision of who needs the help and who can help, but you also need to take a look at the bigger picture, which is the community. And this is a good community, and we just need to keep it that way and not become elitist. That's my biggest fear about Fort Collins, is that it could become an elitist town where only the well-to-do and the well-educated can live, and all the people that serve them and provide the services they need have to live in outlying communities. That would be very, very sad. I guess if you asked me what is the greatest thing I've done, it would be, I think I've helped inspire other people to continue to do this work. And that to me is the most important. I don't want to see it stopped. I want to see it continue. So to me, if other people are motivated to get in there and help, I think that's being a real leader. And that, I think, is what I hope. I supervised a lot of social work students, both from Denver University and CSU. And I've also hopefully helped motivate people who've worked with me as staff, volunteers, and that the work will continue. That to me is a legacy. If it motivates people to want to help other people, especially people who are low income and homeless, that'll be terrific. If it just motivates one other person to go out, get their hands dirty, start to work, start to make things better for other people, that'll be great. I would tell her to keep her eye on the prize, what she would like to do, and then work hard to accomplish it. That it's going to take determination and hard work and a caring heart. Well, I guess I'd have to say for me, everyone is precious in God's eyes. And they may be raggedy, and they may not have all their teeth, and they may smell, but underneath that, there's a person inside that wants to be let out, and you have to be able to do that with kindness. Yeah, because if you aren't kind, and I don't mean patronizing, but kind, caring, they can sense when you care about them. And that they're not just another person that fits into a category. Well, what I've learned from the ones that I still am in contact with is that the successes are small, and it doesn't take a whole lot to be put back. That's why if someone thinks by helping somebody once they're going to remedy their life, it's not going to happen. It takes a loving concern, and it has to be there for a while. They're leery of any fast fixes because they know it's not going to work. Well, and I'll never forget, there was a man who inherited a dog from another homeless person who died, and I saw the man downtown, and I went over and I told him how glad I was that he was taking good care of the dog, and he assured me, he said, he just had a swim in the Poudre today. And then he said, let me show you something. And so he had this bicycle and he had a contraption on the end, and he opened it up and it was a cooler for cold water for the dog. It was a hot summer day. And I thought to myself, that's kindness. Well, everybody's got something different to give, and different people can give different things. Artists, musicians, everyday people, they all have different ways, and I think if it's genuine, then it's going to be well received. So I wouldn't have a one idea only. Some people, I have a very good friend who's uncomfortable working with the homeless directly. And I've respected that. But he's been always willing to do things behind the scenes, to help out with carpentry work, to do things that are hidden, that nobody else sees. That's great. Don't try to make him staff a food line. Let him do what he can do. And this thing goes, what are your talents? What can you do? What would you like to do? I think that when you get really good volunteers, it's when you found somebody who's doing what they love to do, and it helps somebody else as well. And then it's kind of like a bonus all the way around. So I don't think there's one thing that works. I think it's a variety of things. And what we tend to put the homeless in one category. And I remember one homeless man telling me that he would save up his money. He was doing day labor, and then once a month maybe he would go to a nice restaurant in a nice hotel and order a cup of coffee and just sit and enjoy a lovely atmosphere. Now that's so human. Well, I guess the thing I'm most grateful for myself is the goodness in other people. Be they the benefactors that have helped me so much, the volunteers, the staff people, the homeless themselves, and the low-income people in housing. It's there is so much goodness, and what bothers me is that in today's media hype, all we hear about is the bad, by and large, in proportion, and that distresses me, because I know that it doesn't really reflect the American people. And Las Vegas, and even some of the current political things that are going on, where we're almost demonizing each other, that's not going to get us anywhere. And it's sad. So we need to keep finding, that's why the Zonta project is a good thing, in that it's trying to bring to the surface the good that's been done in this community. And that needs to be memorialized, and everyday people just need to know that their goodness is appreciated. Because if it isn't, it goes underground. And what gets all the news is the bad, the evil. You know, deliberately shooting all those innocent people at a concert is very hard to understand. Something must have been terribly wrong with that man. Somebody needed to have gotten to him before he did that. I would just like to see more things done that celebrate the good, because I've seen so much of it. Don't give up. Keep hoping, because someone, somewhere, will be good to you. And you can start building on that. It's one good person or deed after another that'll help you get back on your feet. That's what I'd say. Well, I think it's really important to always stay a generative type person, that even if you can't get out there and dig the way you used to, that you can still listen to other people and try to be helpful to them in any way you can, that perhaps through the years you've gained a little wisdom that can be helpful to somebody else. And you have to always keep the mind of a student. You can always learn. I don't care how old you are. There's always still something you can learn and be appreciative of. I just hope I have that capacity till I die.